GOP. Tommy Tuberville. We've got, the Fifth Fleet heading for Israel. You've got Taiwan talking about China talking about taking on Taiwan. You've got, major problems with the war, this terrorist attack against Ukraine from Russia that is ongoing. Another terror attack yesterday killed a bunch of people. And Tommy Tuberville is still saying, we're not going to let the military have their promotions. We're not going to let the Army and the Navy and the Marine Corps and we're not going to let them have leadership at the top. Now what's happening is that some people in the Senate are starting to have a conversation about this, because what Tuberville is doing, who by the way has never served in our military, so he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. And what he is doing is damaging our military. Now, where did this whole idea that an individual senator can blow up military promotions come from? It goes back to the George Washington administration. His Secretary of Defense, it was the Secretary of War back then, was Henry Knox. Henry Knox was the guy who, in 1789, wrote George Washington's plantation, and George was out standing in the field, and Henry Knox rode up to him on his horse and said, "You've just been elected president, and they want you in New York to be sworn in." And Henry Knox was the guy that George Washington said, go up to Connecticut and find this guy who makes American-made clothing. It was against the law back then to make American-made clothing. You had to buy it from England. This was one of the things that provoked the American Revolution. And he said, go up to Connecticut and find this guy. His name is Dan Hinsdale, and he's a tailor, and have him make me an American-made suit to get inaugurated in. And Knox went up there and he got the suit. He had Washington's measurements, and he brought it to New York City, which was then the capital of the United States, down near Wall Street. And George Washington was sworn into office wearing a brown American-made wool suit. He then, later in the day, posed for that famous painting in which he's wearing black and white, black and a white shirt. That was British-made clothing for the painting, for the famous painting that Dolly Madison saved when the White House got sacked and burned by the British troops in 1812, or I guess it was 1813 or 1814, the War of 1812. But that was Henry Knox. So anyhow, Henry Knox wanted to make sure that his relatively small officer corps wasn't, all concentrated in one place. He wanted the officers to be from all over the country. And so he and George got together and came up with this plan to require home state senators to vouch for the nominees for promotions in the military. It was an ethical thing. It was a way of kind of keeping our military non-political. Well, that's not how it's turned out. Now what we have is our military being highly politicized by a guy who's never served in the military, Tommy Tuberville. Coach Tuberville. In fact, a guy whose claim to fame is that he was a football coach at a university. And this whole plan to keep the military brass from being in the pockets of the president or of individual senators is just, out the window. It's gone. So anyhow, the senators are getting together and saying, maybe we should change the rules. It only takes 51 votes to change the Senate rules. And if they could change the rules so that Tuberville can no longer do this, then they could, start batch processing these appointees. I'm guessing that they're going to get there, that they're pretty much fed up and saying, this is it. We're going to move forward on this. But, I'm not holding my breath. That's it.